Awesome. Hi, everyone. Happy Thursday. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm going to give y'all maybe 30 seconds to grab some food, maybe a drink. It is lunchtime here on the East Coast, right here in Cambridge, Mass, where I am right now. And I'm so happy to have all of you join us for our very first LinkedIn Live of the year. So welcome. Hi, everyone. I'm Chrissy Delore. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the Senior Associate Director of Marketing, Recruiting, and Communications for the Executive Degree Programs team at MIT Sloan. So today's AMA, Ask Me Anything, is designed for prospective students who are interested in the MIT Executive MBA or EMBA program. And we'll be diving into what makes the MIT EMBA experience unique. So I always like to start these LinkedIn Lives with a little bit of a program overview, just so you know what we're all about and can gauge whether or not this seems like it would be a good fit for you based on where you're at in your career. So the MIT EMBA is a 20-month program delivered over 26 weekends. While most sessions, including our module weeks, are held in person, we are currently piloting a few virtual class weekends across the 5 terms to offer just a little bit more flexibility, right? We understand that you are busy people, you're executives with busy schedules, and giving you that flexibility is something that people have asked for. So we're seeing how that goes. Our class weekends are full days on Fridays and Saturdays, spaced every 2 to 3 weeks. And while, of course, our students enjoy coming to campus so they can be in community live with their cohort, we have adjusted our attendance policy so students are allowed to miss 2 days per semester. Also, we do have 4 one-week-long modules that are spread strategically throughout the program, including your first and final weeks. And graduates will earn the same MBA degree as students in our 2-year MBA program and our Sloan Fellows MBA program. So that is our full-time 1-year program at MIT Sloan. It's the same exact amount of hours, your same core curriculum, just spread out a little bit differently given the time. And now, what does our program look like? It's grounded in action learning. So in case you didn't know, MIT's philosophy is mens et manus, which is Latin for mind and hand. So you'll apply classroom learning directly to your work. And if you haven't seen it already, I highly suggest you check out our I Love Mondays campaign on social media, where you actually get to see what our students are implementing in real time once they get back to work on Mondays with their teams. Our courses are taught by senior MIT faculty. They're renowned researchers, industry experts, and passionate educators. And our faculty really view EMBA students as peers, as you all are truly enriching the classroom dynamic. And so something I like to say is, while some of the coursework may be the same year over year, you might be doing some of similar case studies. What you all get to bring to the table will be different, since you're all coming from different industries, various backgrounds, various parts of your organization, all throughout different functions, right? And so speaking of that, our students come from a wide range of locations, industries, and like I said, functions. So some stats from the class of 2026 are second years. 65% of them come from outside of Massachusetts. 76% are director level and above. And 100% are employed. And that is a requirement for admission. So again, going back to that mens et manus philosophy, we want you to be able to take the frameworks and the learnings from your class weekends, from your module weeks directly into your organizations come Monday. So there's obviously so much more to the program, and there's no one better to tell us and share about her experiences than our assistant dean. Hi, Jo.
Hi. So good to be here. I love talking about this. So
likewise. I really do love kicking off our LinkedIn Live season with this AMA. So tell me a little bit more about yourself, how long you've been with the program, and anything you'd like to share to kick us off.
Sure. So I started out in the private sector and spent sort of 10 years really focused on very similar things to what I do now. Mid-career development, whether it was designing leadership development curriculum or system dynamics curriculum or strategic thinking, helping facilitate some of those, as well as doing some coaching for mid-careers and high potentials. Also led some executive offsites and things like that. But when it became time to sort of think about what's next and start a family, one of my mentors told me about the fact that they were starting this program and asked whether I'd be interested in joining. So super excited and proud about being able to be a part of the founding team of the Executive MBA program and being on this journey, watching it grow and become older.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of growing, so we recently conducted an impact study because we have been around for the last 15 years. And so another one of our amazing campaigns that will be, that will be dropping in little tidbits throughout the year is our Redefined Impact campaign, where we will be sharing key insights and interviews from it. And so, Joe, what stood out to you most from the findings?
A lot. It's hard to when
There's a
you
lot.
yeah, it's been 15 years and really the impact study was driven by curiosity. Like, is this meeting our goals as a school? Is it meeting the students' goals as they go through this? And I mean, I think we'll talk about this more, and you already mentioned it in your intro. The diversity of the students coming into the program also equals the diversity of why they're coming. Whether they're earlier in their career and are looking really to advance, or look at a point in their career where they're looking for sort of their second career. So they're looking to pivot or they're looking to move into entrepreneurship. I think what made me really proud is that depending on what they are looking to get out of this program, they get that and more. Whether it's from the network or all the exposure that they have to the variety of industries and the variety of topics. So it's just been and the piece that I love the most is are we delivering on the mission, which is to develop principled innovative leaders who improve the world. And we're very mission driven here, care a lot about having that world impact. And 85% of our students felt that we were either significantly or, definitely giving them the ability to make an impact in the world. So that still leaves that some felt like we do that a little. And, I think that speaks to maybe some that don't, that's maybe not the main reason why they came here.
Right.
But 85%, I think, is a number I'm really proud of.
No, wait, that's awesome. And I actually don't think I shared this with you at all. But last week, because we've already started recruiting, I've been in a few different cities outside of the New England area, and I've met some fantastic folks already. Hopefully, some of you are on the call. But last week, when I was in Detroit for a joint session that we did with some of our peer schools, I had mentioned that MIT Sloan is mission driven, and that individual came up to me at our table afterwards and said, that really stood out, the fact that you are caring so much about about like that you have a mission and that values are important to the school and the community at large. And I'm like, it really does make an impact, and it has a lens through I'm sure across all the programs. Obviously right here we're focused on the executive MBA, but it really offers a lens for us to be able to look at each individual candidate. Because to your point, everyone is coming in with different goals, right? Different things that they want to, maybe like check off. And also too, something I like to remind people is that you don't know what you don't know. And so when you get here, you might be inspired by someone in your cohort or by a faculty member or by an alum, where what you thought you were coming into, like maybe you had like a plan, it might completely change for the better because you were inspired by something here. And so that's something that I also want to remind people, is that it's important to have goals and like want to have a focus. But it's also okay if things shift a little bit. You're all, again, like at such an inflection point in your careers and in your lives, where I think it's okay to pivot, right? And even if you stay in your industry too, I think the growth where we see people who stay in their industry, and they become just like that much more honed in on what they're already
Yeah.
is still very impactful.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would say a couple of things, and this is also proven out in the impact study, is that if you are earlier in your career, doing a pivot change into a different industry like is more likely. And I mean, there are a lot of reasons to that, right? Once you have more years in your career in an industry, like that pays off and like has a lot of sort of experience that you can bring to the work that you do. Also, depending on what function you are, it's easier to pivot industry to industry. But the good news is that we have a career development office who's here to talk to you about that and explore those options. But I think that's been maybe one of my biggest surprises is when we started this program, we thought we would mostly have advancers. So that's the term that we use here, who are thinking about like rising within their organization or leaving their organization, but staying within their function and within their industry. And what we found is that this program is transformational. Now, I hesitate to say that because I think transformation means different things for different people. And so I usually let our students and our alums talk about that, but we don't have them today. So I'll just put that small tidbit in here. And if we are truly a transformational program, then just like you said, people will be making changes and pivots in how they think about what this program is going to be as they go on.
Yeah.
And this is maybe leads me to my final point about the impact study, which is one of the things that surprised me was that 50% of our alumni said that they are involved in some form of entrepreneurial activity. And that feels like a really high number. I actually will say that at the beginning, when we first started this program, we did not think that this was for entrepreneurs because we thought they'd be too busy, right? Like, honestly, like that
Oh,
was our
interesting.
underlying. And I'm sure, Chrissy, to you, that's super surprising because we have a lot of entrepreneurs who come here or
Correct. Right.
aspiring entrepreneurs. And so the 50% are not all who just like went off and started their own company. It also
Right.
includes people who are investing or advising startups, but it's a much bigger percentage than I had anticipated.
Yeah, yeah, that truly is like super fascinating because exactly to your point, like I feel like everyone who knows about our program, like they that and entrepreneurial mindset
Yeah.
is so baked in now. So so to think about like when you all started and that wasn't there, I think that's really, really cool to see. I know we
Yeah,
put
and can you just add one thing just so that our sort of big company people who are interested in us from big companies aren't like, wait, this is just for entrepreneurs. No, it's not. But I will say, and I was talking to an alum about this on Monday,
Mhm.
we really believe in intrapreneurship too. So
Yes.
entrepreneurship within large organizations,
Mhm.
because at the rate that the world is changing today, we need people with an entrepreneurial mindset, even in large organizations, so that we can be more nimble, more adaptable, and that we are more resilient
Mhm.
in times of change. So, and more
Yeah.
innovative. That's like the heart of what we do here at MIT.
Exactly, exactly. Thank you. I know we put out a call for questions in the chat. And I do see some starting to come in. So just a reminder, you are welcome to ask whatever you'd like. We'll try to get to as many as we can. But before we do that, I'm sure people are wondering when our application will open. So the application for the class of 2028 will open by October 15th. And so, Joe, what are some common attributes that the admissions committee, which we both sit on, what are we looking for in prospective candidates? And additionally, what is the EMBA community looking for? We're now over 1,500 alum, and counting and growing.
Yeah.
And so like what are we all hoping to see from each additional cohort that we welcome each year?
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure some of you have already looked at our website, right? So we're looking for a minimum of 10 years of work experience. We want people who not necessarily are like super quants, but are curious about how you make decisions with data and like collecting data, looking at data, or the idea of you need to do it and you're not doing it right now. Like those are
Mhm.
all within the realm of people that sort of make sense for our program. We are, looking for people who are leaders of people, leaders of business, or perhaps you're an individual contributor, but you have a seat at the leadership table from a strategic point of view,
Mhm.
or sort of like a operational standpoint, like a chief of staff sometimes doesn't have direct reports, right? They're all
Mhm.
dotted lines. So, I sometimes think that people we think very open-mindedly about candidates who are interested in our program and have the ability. I'm super proud of the admissions committee and how we think about people, because it's the full story, the full package of
Yeah.
what they bring to the table, not
Yeah.
sort of just like one attribute. And so if there's like one of what I'm saying that doesn't quite fit the bill for you, just apply, right? Like just apply, have the courage. We are interested in all walks of life. And I think that that's what makes our community super unique. It means we have people coming from a variety of different industries, functions, perspectives. More than half of our students are born outside of the US. And so there's a global mindset in the classroom that I think is really great, which adds to the cultural richness of the conversations that are happening. And, I think we tend to be more on the experience side, and that's certainly the average, but we all know that none of us function in the average space, and that it's really about the range. And so, it's everything from 10 years experience to 20 plus years of experience. And that creates a lot of richness too. It's multiple generations. So it's very special. I think that the two other things that really stand out, it's hard for me to talk about anything that we are either looking for or our community without talking about impact. It
Right.
is about making impact, whether it's in your organization, because you have to, those are the assignments, or within your community or within society at large or your industry. The other piece is, and actually we just finished orientation for the class of 2027, and someone came up to me on the last day and said, "Jo, I love and am surprised at how much you all focus on building community for the first 2 days during orientation and the focus on kindness and care." And,
Mm.
someone said, if the private sector just functioned with a little bit more kindness, what a better world this would be. And I think people are surprised that that's where we start from. And we really just build on it from there.
Yeah, yeah, that's such a good point. And AJ, I know that you asked about specific years of work experience. So, like Jo said, we're looking at a range. Like, yes, we have an average, but we are truly looking holistically across the cohort because we recognize that every single individual is coming exactly as you said, Jo, with the whole package. And so it's not just your career achievements that you're looking at. It's not just your resume. It's not just the organizations. It's not just your title or your academic history either. Like, yes, it's all important, but like all of that has now made you into who you are. And I think for us, like, we want to know, like, what are you hoping to do, with the knowledge that you gain? Like, how do you want to create impact in this world? Like, just going back to that idea of impact and, knowing that we are, in servitude to each other and like to the community at large, right? Like, we might be working on various services and products and obviously a ton of technology, but all of this is in betterment, like for us, like for each other. And so for me, like, what stands out is when there are people who come in and they recognize there is a user on the other side. They might be working on a vaccine, but like how is that impacting the people that are in the trials, and like what is the downstream effect of that? Or they're working on some sort of product, and they're thinking about like that end user, and also like how are you thinking about the teams that are also involved in all of that too, right? Like it's not just we're automating a lot, but we're not automating everything yet either. And so it comes back to that like duality of the user on the end of the product or service, and also who are you helping helping to grow along the way. Because the other thing too about this program is that definitely think about where you are in your career, and not only how you will bring this back to your organization, but also who's going to fill in your gap when you're here for class weekends? Who's going to step up and maybe take a little bit more off your plate when you're gone for module weeks? So it's not just that development tool for you, but it's a really great way for you to see like who on your team, who in your organization will not only just benefit from everything that you're bringing back, but how you can now help them grow into their leadership roles, right? We hope that everyone, especially at the mid-career, we hope that you are already principled and innovative, right, as a leader, and we want to like double down on that. So this is just another way for you to kind of like pay that forward a little bit more.
Yeah, and if I think there are two things that came up for me while you were talking, right?
Mhm.
Like, it can often be like, wait, I don't want to burden someone else with my
Yeah.
work as I
Mhm.
am like doing the executive MBA program and I'm already gone. And I think that's a limiting belief, to be
Mhm.
honest. You're not doing this program to continue doing the work and the job that you're doing today, right? Even if you think the title is going to stay the same because you're already at the C-suite, like you want to do different kind of work. And
Right.
certainly the program is going to want you to like, or sort of as you go through with the new content, you're going to want to use that content to sort of make your organization better. So given that, this is like your ability to start developing your successor.
Mhm.
And if leadership are confident in the successor that you've already built, the more likely they are to promote you. And
Exactly.
so, this is like, this sort of goes back to some of the old work I used to do around talent management. But I have this
Mhm.
conversation. We have a Bring Your Boss to Campus Day. And when we do that, I, of course, explain the program, but I really encourage them to be thinking with you on what's next. Because if they're not having those conversations openly,
Mhm.
um, you're having those conversations with other people or other organizations, right? And so I'm all about transparency and sort of talking about the reality of the world and
Mhm.
having open conversations with bosses about that. And I will say more times that I've had bosses come up to me afterwards and thank me for having that conversation. The
Yeah.
other thing I really quickly wanted to say, and then I know we have a
Mhm.
ton of questions already coming in, so I'll let you ask those, is as Chrissy mentioned, we're looking at like the complete picture. I find at times I have people who are like, Joe, my undergrad grades weren't really that good. Like, will
Mhm.
MIT consider us? And yes is the answer, right? It's been for most of us, a long time since you went to undergrad. And my suspicion is that you've matured from that. Uh, and if we, as an admissions committee, deem that it would be helpful for you to do some form of coursework to make sure that you are prepared and successful throughout the program, we will help you figure that out. And so I wouldn't don't stop yourself when you're like, oh, this is MIT. They're going to want, an A average. That's absolutely not the case.
Mhm.
And you can talk to us about that.
Yeah, yeah, and I'll say too, like one of the questions too is like, and I did actually like at like, what are we looking for? But I think the short answer is that we're not looking for any one individual thing, right? Like, and I think that's what we've both been saying here. It's with the not just your professional experience, but also your personal experience too, again, like, and so like you meet people with really fascinating stories or like side hustles or hobbies or ways in which they're impacting a community that they're a part of, whether it's a veterans group or a country that their family was originally from. All that stuff is we look at everything. And so again, if you're wondering whether you should include something in your application, but you're not really sure where it goes, just a note that once the application opens, you will see there is an additional information section for you to include some of those little details that maybe don't fit elsewhere. Scrolling back up there, because we have talked a little bit about leadership, but Yuki had a great question. How is leadership development built into the program? Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, my favorite topic.
Yeah.
Although I have many favorite topics, so don't be surprised if I say that again. So leadership development is my background. It is what, and I've had some amazing partners, especially with Nelson Repenning, which shout out, he has a new book worth checking out. But and with the MIT Leadership Center, is that we've really built out the leadership curriculum for the EMBAs, because I'm not sure, the foundations of general management are really important, but unless you have the leadership skills to create change, to motivate and empower others, those other foundational skills aren't really going to have the impact that you want them to. So we have a 360-degree assessment that you kick off with, and you then meet with an executive leadership coach. You have that executive leadership coach for many hours throughout your program here. You start out with a course that's on leadership development. Then you have sort of, it builds on each other. There's a leadership thread that goes through the 20 months. One of the things I'm really proud of, I often get this question, in the last several years, what are some of the new things you've done? I will say this is MIT, and we're always tinkering, always trying new things. So I would say the work that we've done around leadership and feedback is probably one of the bigger changes we've made in the last several years. Part of that is we as leaders need to be able to give feedback effectively and receive feedback effectively. And so we've built out practical applications of this, meaning you're giving and receiving feedback with your team. At the beginning, that has an executive coach who sort of is facilitating and ensuring that that's happening in the most productive way. And then we sort of ensure that you can do that by yourself. And we want you to be doing that certainly with your peers here in the program, but that you're doing it with your direct reports and your peers and your boss, right? For it to be really a learning organization, and for you to be developing into our targets, which is being the leader of choice and being the team member of choice in any organization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. So a few people have asked about financial aid and tuition. And so obviously fellowships are something that we're talking more about. We will have more information. So stay tuned. So for all of you, we're also working on updating our website ahead of the new cycle. So more info will be coming. But Joe, do you want to talk a little bit about what that process looks like? Since we do understand times are what they are right now, right?
Look, I don't think that it's a secret to anyone how expensive these degrees are, right? And given that we want a diverse group of people who come in and do this, and that it's not just for the 1% or the elite, is to ensure that we can provide some fellowships on the background. What's amazing is that we have a new Dean Rick Locke, and this is his number one focus, is ensuring that we get more fellowships. And we have some generous alumni who have donated fellowships that do enable it to be a little bit more affordable for, but as Chrissy said, we're going to get more details on that so that you all understand what those fellowships look like. Yeah. And so we're working on it. There's some, I want more. The dean wants more. We all
always want more. Yes, exactly. And I think something too that me and some other members of the team were talking about, this is a great opportunity to, figure out what sponsorship might look like. And we don't just mean financially, right? Your manager and your organization does need to offer support. We do ask for a letter of recommendation from a direct supervisor or someone in that chain. Joe, correct me if I'm wrong there. But just so, they know what your intent is, because you will be taking some time away, right? But the idea is that the ROI that you'll be able to give back to them will make up for those missing gaps, because you'll be able to, again, like, make that immediate impact, once you're back from a class weekend or a module week. But
Yeah.
even
Can I just say one thing about that, Chrissy?
Go ahead.
So first of all, I'm sorry. I'm still overcoming this cold, so I'm continuously
Okay.
needing to clear my throat. I guess what I will say is that I think students make various decisions about whether they want sponsorship from their organizations. And look, we're at a time when I think companies are looking at every dime and being like, is this worth my money or not? And I think what makes our EMBA very unique is this applying what you're learning immediately. And whether it's your first semester or your second semester or your third semester, you will be working on actual projects within your organization that either make the organization more efficient, make the organization more money, and so there are either savings or revenue that can be directly linked to the work that you're doing, or other factors that your company may care deeply about, whether it's turnover, employee engagement, whatever. And being able to link your projects to priorities for the organization. And even if you got a no at the beginning, we
Mhm.
have had students
Yes.
who got sponsorship later on once they were able to say, hey, I saved the company XYZ, or hey, I made the company XYZ. Like, you should be paying, or like at least contributing more than what you are today.
Yeah, thank you. That's such a great point. It's something that I like to tell people that are interviewing too. Like, just because it's a no now doesn't mean it's a no later, because again, like, you will be making an impact here. And there was another point that I wanted to say, but it like slipped out of my mind. So if I remember
It'll
it,
come back.
it'll come back. A few people, Jacob and Abdullah, you both have asked about the backgrounds of our students. So, before I get into that, I remember what I was going to say. Check out our blog, our Executive Insights blog. We have a ton of great content there already that speaks exactly to Joe, what you said, like, how I was able to, make a real impact in, on the financial lines or, organizationally, whatever, like in my organization. But throughout the year, part of the impact study was the consultant group actually doing Q&As with alum. And so some of the insights too that we've seen is, like our alums from way back when, like the things that they've been able to do, like with their companies. And also, like, I'll say too, like, anecdotally, I don't know how many times we have alums who come to events or speak on panels, and they're still using the frameworks that they learned X amount of years ago, and they'll go back to their notes, or they'll chat with their cohort and be like, "Oh, I actually used blah 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 like just yesterday at their new place of organization." And
Yeah.
so, again, this is not just the 20 months. This is for the rest of your life. You have all these tools that you can continue to add onto your tool belt. So just want to
Well,
I remember that.
yeah, and actually, sorry, if I can do two more points to
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
is, I think that it's easy to look at the tuition and be like, is this worth 20 months? And I think that's a right question to be asking. I think
Mhm.
again, it's like a limiting way of looking at it. I don't think that people should be thinking about the cost of the program and 20 months. It is, once accepted into this program, you are part of the MIT family for life.
Correct.
And you have access to a bunch of resources and the latest research and the people. And, so it's about building the right relationships while you're here, thinking
Mhm.
about how you want to engage as an alum. As you've heard, Chrissy and I, we engage with alums all the time. I meet
Mhm.
with them. It's like some of my favorite things to do because I get to hear how they're using the degree and how they're still connected to their classmates and so forth. So I think that's a really important piece. And now it's my turn to forget what my second point was going to be. Um,
It's okay. I can kind of continue on where I was going to go.
Hold on, and let me think about that. So MIT
Okay.
for life is my highlight there.
Yes, yes, exactly. So Jacob and Abdullah both asked about the backgrounds of our students, what industries and countries are students coming from, and we do have our latest view book that's already available, so you can download that. It does include a look at our class profile, so I can tell you what our top industries for the class of 2026 are: software and technology, financial services, healthcare, and pharmaceuticals, biotechnology, and life sciences. That said, the rest of the pie, which is, like still a substantial amount of the pie, are people who are coming in from real estate, retail, transportation, nonprofits, government, consulting, energy, education, and more, right? And so while the top four that I mentioned, they kind of rotate, across the board depending on what's happening outside in the world. Um, Everything else is fair game. And so just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind too. If anything, like the more unique your position is, or more, more unique your story is, not that you have like a better chance, your application still needs to be good. But like if we don't see a ton of people like you, that's what's going to really pique our interest. And then within the industry, if we're looking at functions too, it really runs the gamut from, like your engineers, to people that are doing strategic planning. We of course have people that are already doing general management, but we have people in legal, and who do marketing like I do. And so you're really looking at, just across the board, just a diverse group of people that are, going to be collaborating with you. And I think one of the most exciting things, is that, Joe, I feel like one of the questions you open up sometimes with events is like, who here has like a problem? Like what's the question that you ask? Like,
I say, who has a problem they'd like to solve within their organization?
yes, and like almost everyone raises their hands because nothing is perfect, right? And that's okay. We work to make things better. But while everyone's problems might, like organization problems might, be very like may look a little bit differently, underneath a lot of it are commonalities that you can see. And so what's cool is that you might talk with someone who works in a completely different industry and a completely different function, but the problem that you are working on right now, they've just dealt with it, and they can give you a little insight into how did that work, how did it didn't work. I think something that we maybe don't talk about more in general is that there's so much to be learned from failures too, right? It's not just about the success, because failing means you tried, right, at the end of the day. And so I think the thing that everyone has in common is that they've had to work through these failures, right, to get to a point of success, because you probably didn't do something the best way like the very first time. And so it's this continued iteration, right, that I think all of our community is really looking for. People are looking for something that's different and that's more, because they recognize that that there is so much more that they can do. And there are people who are very comfortable in staying where they are. But I find that the people who end up finding us, are willing to push themselves just that much more.
Well, and I think that really speaks to the uniqueness of our community, because you wouldn't be comfortable talking about your failures unless we created a community where people felt like they can talk about that, right? Which is, again, leads to why we start about creating a place where everyone understands that we're here to learn, right? Like you're not in competition with anyone else in the room. You're here to learn from each other. And I think that, they have such a learning mindset. They want to learn just as much from the faculty as they do from their classmates, and they're really all in. And that's how you get the full value of the program. I did remember what was the other thing to talk about, which was, we do talk to a lot of alums. And one of my favorite stories is someone who came from a very non-traditional sort of industry, actually journalism. And so, did not have perhaps the big salaries as some of maybe one of those top four industries show. And she talked about how nervous she was throughout the program about like the huge investment that she made in herself. And we tried to support her as much as possible with fellowships. We had a lot less back then than what we do now. But what she said is, I shouldn't have worried about that at all, because within 2 years, I had already made it all back. And that, I even just got the shivers right now talking about it, because like that to me is like, it is a huge number. And, if, as long as it's worth it, right, and people are sort of getting to their life goals and their financial goals, like, and having the impact in the world, like, I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, it's, again, it is, you're both doing immediate impact work, right? Like in your organizations, once you get back from a weekend or a module week. But ultimately the program itself and what you will get out of the program, that's the long game, right?
Yeah.
And because it's not, again, it's not just you, it's like, how are you then continuing to build out the community here, or how are you helping up level members of your team? We're continually thinking about like the generation behind us and how can we continue to lift everyone up with us too, right?
Yeah.
So I just want to hit one more question before our time is up. So Ravi asked, does the program allow networking with broader MIT ecosystems like the engineering community? So Joe, like, I think this is a great opportunity to talk about connections with, the Institute as a whole. Because yes, like we're part of MIT Sloan, but you do have access to the rest of the Institute at large.
Yeah, I actually had a really unique and fortunate experience yesterday in that I got to sit in on a small panel with all the deans across all the schools. And it was just fascinating to see them interact. And for Dean Rick Locke, who prefers to go by Rick, so I'm going to do that moving forward, he talked about like how special it is at MIT Sloan School of Management because we are a part of MIT. We're not off, like he's like, there's not a moat around us. We're physically located on campus. And, it enables our student, and it's an open campus. So our
Right.
students can go wherever they want. If you're interested in being more engaged with the engineering school, like go knock on some doors, go send out some emails. And I actually also was on the phone with a faculty member who is not a Sloan faculty member, but focuses on AI across campus. And he's going to come and teach a January executive elective for us.
That's
And
awesome.
so one of the things that we're trying to do is encourage our students to do things across campus. One of the other cool things that we do is we organize lab visits. Now, we organize and coordinate one of those with the hope that students will then go out after we've done the first one and approach labs that they are more interested in. But also just the recognition, right? Again, this is an open campus. You can go visit whatever campus you want or whatever school you want to. So we do facilitate some of that. But it's also trying to bring in faculty into Sloan. There's a huge interest for all of the different schools to be more closely connected. And that's done both by dual faculty appointments. So there's several faculty appointments that are part of the College of Computing as well as Sloan to ensure that more of that integrated learning is happening.
Yeah. And so, like what Joe said, while we do try to facilitate what we can, given your schedule too, like, that is something that you want to make sure that you're thinking about also, like what is going to be a priority to you while you're a student for the 20 months. And I remember an alum speaking about this while we were on the road last season where he was like, I knew that there was a faculty member that I wanted to get in contact with because of like the work that he does. And he's like, I kind of just reached out on a whim, like with my MIT email address. And, the next time I was back on campus, he's coming in from the Midwest. I was able to schedule, like lunch with him, like in between my class sessions. And so, like the name does help too, and obviously we hope no one's coming here just for the name, but I think it just speaks to how the community really just wants to help each other and engage with each other. We didn't talk about like the WhatsApp groups that our alums have, but like they're all still like very much in communication with each other. And I can't tell you how many times like I've heard a story of someone being like, hi, I have a weird medical issue with something, and one of the very many doctors like who come that like, oh, like I can help, and they'll ping them off on the side. It really just opens your lens just so much more, and really creates an even more enriched life for you. But I do think some of that onus has to be on the student. So again, like something to think about. And to close, because I know we're coming at time. what should prospective candidates know about our program's mission? So we talked about the mission of MIT Sloan, and the mission of the MIT Executive MBA program is empowering and connecting leaders to redefine our shared future. And so, Joe, how do you personally align with this mission, and what do you want our prospective candidates to know?
Yeah, I love this mission for the program. I definitely think it defines what we're trying to do here, right? Empowering you with knowledge, empowering you with confidence, and that's confidence not to know all the answers, but to know what questions to ask and to get who to get involved with to ensure that you are thinking about any problem from a systemic, big picture thinking, and then driving change from there. I think that it's also about connecting, right? Connecting you to MIT, connecting you to faculty, connecting you to each other. The network that you gain from this program is super powerful. As anything, it's what you put into it, but certainly we facilitate a lot of those connections to happen. And the redefine part, I think that that's what our students are really hungry for, right? They want to redefine who they are, redefine the future of the world, whether it's in their industry or how society functions, really thinking about some of the bigger, tougher questions that we're so very much dealing with today. And then I think the shared future part, all of these words are so purposefully picked, right?
Yep.
I mean, I don't tell you, Chrissy, who is part of the leader of making this work happen, but it is that the future that we envision is something we all need to be shared, right? It's not for one person's gain, it's for all of our gain, to ensure that we have prosperity for everyone, and a bright future. And that's what makes me super excited. I know you asked how this relates to me. I feel like having this, I pinch myself sometimes. I'm like, how did I end up in this place, overseeing these two amazing programs with such a superstar team, where I feel like I'm making a difference in this world, and that I'm doing that by leading these programs. We're bringing in some amazing talent to learn amazing concepts, tools, skills, and getting to know each other in order to go out and make this world a better place. We know that you are thinking about investing in yourself. When you're selected for this program, we are investing in you. There are certainly other people that could have been chosen, right? And with that comes a responsibility to live out our mission and understand that it's a privilege to be here, and it's time to make this world a better place.
Oh, Joe, I know you do this every year, but I feel like that was such a even more perfect than last year in terms of how to end this. And I feel very similarly. It really is truly a privilege to work for this team, get to meet some, again, incredible people across the country, people who are coming to us from crazy places around the world, right? And for this shared purpose. So, Joe, thank you so much for your time. And we'll see you again soon. So thank you. Awesome. So we've explored what it means to be a strong candidate for the MIT EMBA, right? And we hope this conversation helped you reflect on your own leadership journey, right? Where are you right now in this day, and where do you want to be, come September 2026? Where do you want to be come May 2028? Something to think about, right? And so what is our call to action? Think about what your life's next inflection point is. And we hope to see you at another event soon. We hope to see you in our next cohort. We do have our application deadlines. They are available. And all of the deadline times are at 11:59 p.m. Eastern time, regardless of, if it's standard or whatever the other one is. So just a note for those people that are not on the East Coast like we are. Also, please visit our admissions events page for upcoming in-person and virtual events. I know there were some questions that we were not able to get to today, but we hope you come to a future event soon, so you can get your questions answered. Also, plug, if you're not on our email list, fill out our form on our website. It's the easiest way to stay in contact with us. And as part of being on, our emails, we will invite you to have a call with an admissions advisor. That way they can get to know you a little bit more one-on-one. You can really talk more about where you are at in your journey right now, and whether, if what timing could look like for you. And so our admissions advisors are always looking to meet new people, and who are looking to apply. So that's it for, the 50 minutes. Thank you so much for joining us. Hope to see you at a future event soon. Bye, everyone.